Because if we don't take back the presidency in a little over 2 years, we don't take back at least the House in a little over 2 months, Thomas Sowell is right. It may well be over. So we need to stay focused on nominating conservatives and then taking them over the finish line. And that's just the beginning. It's just the beginning. And the Founding Fathers would view it exactly the same way, as would Alexis de Tocqueville, as would John Locke, as would Edmund Burke, as would Milton Friedman, as would all the greats. Now's not a time to walk off into Never Never Land. Look at the National Republican Senatorial Committee. Look at this National Republican Senatorial Committee headed by John Cornyn of Texas, who by all accounts is supposed to be a good guy. Well, let's look at the record, shall we? At one point, they backed Arlen Spector over Pat Toomey. At one point, they backed Charlie Crist over Marco Rubio. In Nevada, they backed Sue Loudon over Sharon Angle. In Colorado, they backed Jay Norton over Ken Buck. Now, Toomey was nominated, Marco Rubio nominated, Sharon Angle nominated, Ken Buck nominated. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the Tea Party. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the conservative movement versus the Republican establishment. Had we not acted, had we left the playing field, those states would look much different today, and we as a nation would be much worse off. The National Republican Senatorial Committee, headed by Senator John Cornyn, backed Mark Kirk over Patrick Hughes, a liberal. They backed Mike Castle over our candidate, Christine O'Donnell. Should we leave Christine O'Donnell to fend for herself? They backed in Kentucky Trey Greyson over Rand Paul. They backed Bob Bennett in Utah over Mike Lee. Well, now we have Mike Lee. We have Rand Paul. Two solid constitutionalists. In Alaska, they backed Lisa Murkowski, who couldn't even say that she would repeal health care, over Joe Miller. And right now, they're up to dirty tricks in Alaska, trying to steal that election, trying to tamper with the vote. That is the National Republican Senatorial Committee. In Indiana, they backed Dan Coates over Marlin Stutzman. Stutzman being the solid conservative. Coates is a nice enough guy, but he's not the solid conservative. And I could go on. You see, thank God, millions and millions have not left politics to the other people, or we wouldn't have made any progress. None. These primary candidates would not have won. And we have a pretty damn good record. We can't win them all, but we've done a lot. This is hard work. It takes time. It's not flashy. We have millions of people whose names are unknown, working hard to effect reform, to reinstitute a constitutional republic, who are doing it exactly the right way, exactly as the Founding Fathers would want them to do it. You see, ladies and gentlemen, faith and the civil society are not mutually exclusive. They're one and the same. We believe, we conservatives, what we believe because we have faith. We believe in private property rights because we believe in individual liberty. We believe in a Republican, little r, form of government because we reject tyranny. They're interrelated. This is exactly the point I tried to make in Liberty and Tyranny to 1.2 million people. And the point we make, in a civil society, these characteristics are not separate elements, one to be preferred over another. They're of the same. Liberty, private property rights, family, duty, prudence, faith, rule of law, respect. They're one and the same. But when the civil society is under attack by the very government that is supposed to nurture it, then you have to stand up to that government. Then you have to become involved. If anything, we waited too long to become involved. Decades. And now that the people are rising up, now that there is a civilian rebellion, a peaceful rebellion going on in this nation, in towns, in hamlets, in communities all across this nation, reform can be had. The Republican establishment still stands in our way. We must defeat it. We must crush it. Because we must be victorious over it. Otherwise, it will be victorious over us, and there will be no reform. Here's a piece, The Washington Examiner, by Timothy Carney. He points out Senator Lisa Murkowski's apparent defeat in the Alaska Republican primary, which they're trying to use dirty tricks to reverse up there, isn't just a defeat for the Republican establishment and the National Republican Senatorial Committee, which, in keeping with standard practice, backed her nomination. The Alaska result is, above all, blow to Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. You need to listen to this. As with the primary defeat of Utah's Bob Bennett in the spring, challenger Joe Miller's likely win replaces a close, McConnell confident with an unaccommodating conservative. So now we know two of McConnell's closest advisors, Bob Bennett, who was defeated, and Lisa Murkowski, who was defeated. McConnell, since becoming minority leader in 2007, has built his own kitchen cabinet, he writes, consisting of 2 or 3 official councils, senators handpicked by him, who attend GOP leadership meetings along with the elected party leadership. Both Bennett and Murkowski are in this inner circle, and both lost their primaries this year to conservatives running against Washington. That's thanks to you. So we have a little leadership problem, it sounds to me, in the Republican side of the Senate. What should we do? Withdraw from politics? What should we do? Surrender? Hell no. If Mitch McConnell doesn't welcome these conservatives who you are sending to the United States Senate to help fix this damn place, then he needs to go too. We don't sit on our hands and hope for the best. We get off our asses and make a difference. That's what we do. Now, we won in Virginia. We won in New Jersey. We won in Massachusetts. This has been in the making for a long time. This has been going on for 18 months. The American people had enough with this government, this president, this Congress, 60 days in. And they've been rising up ever since. If this election had been held 18 months ago, we'd wipe out the left. They were hoping in Washington, hoping that you'd back off, that you'd surrender the political playfield to the left, to the establishment. But you've refused. You've refused. You remain engaged. The Founding Fathers would be proud of you.